welcome back to the channel. We are going to continue with Book 4, The Chasm of Doom, in the Lone Wolf series of Choose Your Own Adventure novels. When last we left off, we were attacked by a hideous creature in an underground river as we were trying to get our boat to a tunnel that would head us towards Ruanon, which is the town, Ruanon, the town that we're trying to get to. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully, we lost all of our companions, of course. It is called Lone Wolf, so expecting to have a troop of people following us the entire way was probably unrealistic. But we have made it to the shore. We survived the attack by the monster, and now we're going to continue on and see what happens next. If you did watch our last episode, I did figure out why my conditional formatting wasn't working. As I stated before, I made it really easy on myself by making it so that when I type a number here, it highlights the appropriate rows here. And the reason that didn't work is I changed it from a text box to a number box, and it didn't recognize the text values anymore. So now it's working again. So now you learned a little bit about Excel if you wanted to know. So let's go ahead and continue on and see what happens next.
You follow the tunnel for 3 hours before arriving at a great hall where several tunnels, all at different depths, meet up. A series of wide stone ramps connect each tunnel to those immediately above and below. For levels below you, teams of men are pushing wagon loads of ore. Others, dressed in red armor, stand guard over the wagon pushers and urge them on with whips and curses.
Slaves.
The tunnel in which you now stand is on the highest level. You realize that the only way you can proceed is by descending the ramp to a tunnel on a lower level. To your dismay, you notice that each of the ramps is guarded by armed men. Inching forward, you peer over the edge of the ramp. 2 guards are sitting near the tunnel entrance below. They are laughing and giggling and pointing at an empty wine flagon that lies at their feet. After watching them for several minutes, you decide they are probably too drunk to notice you. You decide to make a dash for the tunnel.
Okay, so we're given. So basically, we have a stealth check here. So I would imagine the higher the number, because you can add to the number if you have the camouflage, you're going to get a better result. So we need to roll an 8 to 13 to hopefully get through this without a fight. And of course, we rolled a 2. So let's continue. Let's do that.
You are halfway down the ramp when a guard turns to face you. He blinks and rubs his bloodshot eyes in disbelief. You seize your advantage and sprint at the man, hoping to reach him before he fully comes to his senses. Just as he begins to shout, you strike and send him tumbling over the edge of the ramp.
Ouch.
The other guard draws his sword and staggers to his feet. He is obviously very drunk and is maddened by your attack. He springs towards you like a rabid dog.
Okay, we can fight this guy, or we can evade combat by running into the tunnel on this level. So, I believe the way that works is that if you try to evade, he gets a free attack on you, and you don't get to damage him in any way. I imagine he's going to chase us if we try to run away. We greatly outclass him. There's a good chance we could one-shot this guy. So we'll fight him. That's fine. Okay, so we have equals 27 minus 13. Whatever. I'm going to just pull up my calculator. 27 minus 13 equals 14. I probably could have done that in my head, but I'm lazy. So that's going to be 11. It's going to be, you can't go any higher than 11. So, and he has 29 hit points. All right, let's go ahead and roll some combat here. A 6. So he takes 14 and I take 1. One more. A 3. He takes 11 and I take 2. That's not going very well. I thought I was going to want 2. Really? He takes 10 and I take 2. So we are now down to 27 hit points. Great. That didn't work out as nearly as good as I thought it was going to. He rolled really low the entire combat. All right. A quick search of the body reveals a sword, 6 gold crowns. Well, we'll definitely add the 6 gold crowns. That'll put us up to 49 gold crowns. Enough food for 2 meals, which we don't really need. We don't need the sword. I would like to take that brass key, but I don't want to get... It doesn't say that the brass key is a special item, which means we probably have to put it in our thing here. Well, we have the hunting thing. We're not in a place, so we'll drop the rations and just put the brass key here, because it might come in handy later.
As you turn to enter the tunnel, a guard appears on the ramp below. He sees you and sounds the alarm by blowing on a war horn strung around his neck. You do not stay to witness the response to his alarm signal. With its sound ringing in your ears, you escape into the tunnel at a run.
Okay.
The hoarse cries of the guard echo along the tunnel. You soon reach a section where repairs are in progress. A prop in the center of the passage supports a cracked roof beam. If you could just knock away the prop, it might cause the roof to fall in, which would seal off the passage behind you. You can now hear the running footsteps of more than one guard approaching.
Yeah, the problem with that is that if we knock it down, the roof might fall on top of us. But we got to do what we can do, I guess. If you're wondering why I'm healing with every page, this healing option that we have, this healing Kai discipline that we have, allows us to get 1 endurance back for every page that doesn't have combat in it. So that's why I'm doing that. We'll knock the roof prop down and hope for the best.
The wooden pillar is stout and firm. It will take a heavy blow to dislodge it.
Okay, we do have the summer sword. So we're going to go ahead and use that option.
With one slice of your golden sword, the timber splinters in two. A shudder runs through the ground, and with one mighty roar, a deluge of earth and stone completely fills the tunnel. Clouds of dust engulf you, and the force of the blast throws you to the floor. All the torches are extinguished. You lose 1 endurance point. Staggering to your feet, you hurry along the dust-choked tunnel to where the wall torches are still burning.
Situations like this aren't specifically mentioned, but we're going to assume that if we lost damage on a page, that counts as a combat, so I won't take the hit point back for this page. It's not really going to make that much of a difference anyway.
The tunnel soon emerges into a large chamber divided by a deep mine shaft. A dark-skinned warrior in tatty leather armor stands guard at the entrance to the wooden bridge spanning the shaft. He is whittling a block of wood and grumbling to himself about how unfair it is that he is given the most boring duties. On the far side of the chamber, a tunnel disappears into the west wall. You know that if you are to reach the tunnel, you must get past the guard and across the bridge.
Okay, well, we don't have camouflage, but we do have mind over matter, so let's see what cool option that gives us.
You concentrate your powers and direct them at an outcrop of loose shale overhanging the shaft on the opposite side of the chamber. In seconds, there is a crack of slate and stone as part of the outcrop crumbles away and falls into the gaping mine shaft. The guard is startled by the sudden noise and leaves his post to investigate. Without a moment's hesitation, you dash across the now empty bridge and disappear into the tunnel beyond.
Having skills is so nice, isn't it?
Less than 50 yards along the tunnel wall, you notice a lever. Your Kai instincts make you naturally suspicious of this unusual feature, and you scour the floor looking for evidence of a trap. You find nothing, but a glance at the roof reveals the underside of a wide portcullis hidden between 2 beams. You pull the lever and the portcullis falls, sealing off the tunnel behind you. To make sure you will not be followed, you smash the lever with a wedge of stone before continuing along the tunnel.
All right, well, at least now we're relatively safe.
You are hungry and must now eat a meal or lose 3 endurance points. If you possess the Kai discipline of hunting, you are unable to use it within the Makan mines to hunt for food.
Now I regret dropping those.
Food. You then continue along the tunnel, which runs for several miles before eventually arriving at a long, deserted gallery.
All right, let's find out what's next.
A line of empty wagons lie parked along a stretch of track that disappears into the west wall of this gallery. Above the arched tunnel, a flight of wooden stairs leads to a smaller passage lit by a sputtering torch. You stay hidden in the shadows, watching the gallery for half an hour before you are satisfied that it is safe to enter.
Okay, so we do have the discipline of tracking, and we are at least an aspirant, so we can use this usually beneficial option.
Judging by the smoothness of the stone floor and the condition of the ore wagons, you deduce that this gallery must service a major section of the mines. A fresh breeze can be felt blowing out of the west tunnel, and you sense that you must be near the surface. Ruanon lies due west, the same direction as the ore wagon tunnel. You take a deep breath and emerge from the shadows, cross the gallery, and quietly enter the archway beyond. As you make your way along the torchlit tunnel, you pass several ore wagons bearing the same design branded upon their wooden sides, a cross moline above the initials, OV. You recognize the seal of Oren Vanelund, the Baron of Ruanon, and it confirms the fact that you are heading in the right direction. Suddenly, the sound of approaching footsteps begins to echo along the tunnel ahead. They become louder, accompanied now by shouting and the crack of a whip.
All right, well, so we can dive into one of the empty ore wagons or hide in the shadows of the rough tunnel wall. I have a feeling that they're going to go for the trope of us getting into the wagon and the wagon takes us directly where we want to go, but then again, it could be a trap. But let's be adventurous and hope for the best.
Raising the hood of your Kai cloak, you crouch in the bottom of an empty ore wagon and wait with bated breath. Through a gap in the wood you can see a haggard procession of men shuffling towards you. An escort of bandit warriors pushes them forward, beating any who falter or slip out of line. You feel a sudden jolt as your wagon is pushed along the tunnel and glance up to see a sweat-streaked face peering down at you. "Run left when I say, go," whispers the face, which then disappears over the edge of the wagon. As the wagon emerges from the tunnel, sunlight suddenly floods over you. Through the crack you can now see your destination. The wagons are being shunted onto a timber gantry where the track ends some 50 feet above a huge mound of ore. Your observations are cut short by a hissed command, "Go."
Okay, well, I'm going to assume that the slaves are not out to try to hurt me, so we'll leap from the wagon and run to the left.
You leap over the side of the wagon and sprint towards a line of densely packed trees less than 20 yards from the track. Luck is with you, for the bandit guards fail to notice your daring escape and the wagons continue on their way towards the gantry. Pausing just long enough to catch your breath, you give silent thanks to the stranger who helped you, before pressing onwards through the trees. The trees are alive with bandit patrols, but your quick wits and Kai skills prevent you from being seen by them. Eventually you reach the edge of the copse. You find yourself staring out across an expanse of open plain towards Ruanon. The sight that lies before you is very disquieting. Much of the mining town has been burnt to the ground. The blackened ruins of what were once shops, cottages, and taverns are now little more than smoldering mounds of charcoal. You are beginning to fear the worst, that Ruanon has been totally destroyed, when a gentle breeze clears the haze of wood smoke hanging like a gray curtain over the ruins. Inside the perimeter of ruined buildings, a barricade has been thrown up around a tower of stone. Above the tower, a tattered flag still flies bringing renewed hope. It is the sun flag of Sommerlund edged with a band of white braid, the cavalry standard of the King's Guard regiment. The sudden crack of a twig makes you freeze. You glance behind to see 3 bandits creeping through the trees towards you. The wide steel tips of their spears glint. They seem to be coated with a clear, sticky fluid.
Well, that's no bueno. It says if we have the discipline of hunting or we have ever visited Gorn Cave, we can go to this. So let's go ahead and do that.
You recognize a nattern sap dripping from their spears. It is a deadly poison. You dare not risk engaging in combat with these bandits, for the merest graze from one of their tainted weapons could be fatal. Leaping to your feet, you race away from the trees and run towards Ruanon. From all along the forest edge, groups of bandits emerge from the trees, whipped and scolded by their bullying sergeants for allowing you to escape. This spurs you to quicken your pace, and you cover the first 100 yards with ease. Then arrows begin to fall around you. You duck and weave, making yourself a difficult target for the archers, and gradually the falling shafts dwindle in number. You smile at their futile attempts to stop you, but your confidence is soon shaken by a pack of snarling warhounds breaking out of the woods to your right. They are off the leash and hungry for blood. You are less than 500 yards from Ruanon, but the warhounds are closing in.
All right, well, we can either try to outrun them or fight them. I don't really want to fight them with all this stuff that's going on, so let's see if we can just make a run for it.
You try to ignore your aching legs and the fear that knots your stomach by forcing your concentration on the sun flag, a fluttering symbol of hope in the distance. Your face is streaked with sweat, and your lungs feel as though they will burst, but you dare not slacken your pace. The thought of warhound fangs closing and tugging on your skin is all you need to drive you forward. At 400 yards, you can see that the barricade and watchtower are inhabited, but at this distance the faces you can see are only a line of small, pink dots on the walls. At 300 yards, you run into some gruesome remains, where the corpses of bandits lie twisted on the ground, most killed by arrows. Many have lain in the open for weeks. A flock of startled carrion crows rise shrieking from their feast as you race through the bodies. You turn away in disgust. Suddenly a new sound drifts across the plain, the sound of cheering. The beleaguered defenders have spotted you and recognized your green kai cloak. 200 yards to go. You have just passed the ruins of a burnt-out cottage when you feel an agonizing pain tear through your left thigh.
Of course.
An arrow has pierced your leg, and you pitch forward into the mud and ash. Crouched in the ruined cottage, a bandit sniper raises his bow and takes careful aim at your head.
Oh, great. So now we have a random event. I don't even know what we should be rolling here. I rolled a 0. That's probably not good. The twang of the sniper's bow hits an arrow. All right, we got shot in the head. Clearly that is not a good thing for us. We're going to come back and roll again. Hope for the best. As in previous episodes, typically there would be a punishment for death. We would lose at least half of our life, half of our gold, half of our items, and things like that. But in this particular instance, it's just ridiculous that we're just going to have really bad luck screw us over at the end. It's not like I made a bad choice and then it ended up bad, so we're just going to keep going. We were railroaded into this. I'm not going to let them destroy our heroic moment here. You know what? I'm just going to pick one. Sorry if that bothers you, but we're here for the story, not necessarily for a realistic playthrough.
An arrow hisses overhead. A scream of agony fills the air. The bow slips from the archer's fingers as he sinks to his knees, the arrow lodged deep between his startled eyes. The clack of fangs and the soft, swift pad of stealthy feet tell you that the warhounds are closing in. You look up to see a man running towards you from the barricade. He has a shield in one hand and a longbow in the other. It is Guard Captain Dval. Nice. He reaches you, breathless from his run, and draws an arrow from his quiver. Dval aims and fires, drawing another arrow from his quiver as soon as the first is loosed. The warhounds tumble and crash to the ground around you, felled by Dval's deadly shafts. 8 lie dead before his quiver is empty. The captain grabs you by the arm and, swinging you over his shoulder in one swift motion, carries you back towards the barricade. Others run forward to help you, but the bandit archers are now in range and your men are forced back by a hail of arrows. The red shafts of the enemy whistle past on all sides. You reach the barricade, a wagon is pulled aside, and you are carried in through the gap. Captain Dval is close to exhaustion, he staggers, and his men rush to catch him before he drops to the ground. A circle of unshaven faces are staring down at you. A soldier cradles your leg as another snaps the shaft buried deeply in your thigh. But before you can even cry out in pain, he has drawn the arrow from your leg with one swift tug. You are very lucky, Kai Lord, he says, as he bandages a handful of lomspur to your aching limb. The wound is clean, and the bleeding is but slight. You lose 4 endurance points, but the soldier's quick thinking and skill has saved your leg from infection. With great care the soldiers carry both you and Captain Dval into the stone watchtower.
Alright, I think we're going to go ahead and end this here, because this is going to be a long story section where we get updated on the situation. I would imagine we're going to get updated on the situation here, and we're going to be told what we need to do next. So this is a good stopping point, I think. So I hope you guys are enjoying the story, and be sure to come back next time to find out what Captain Dval has to tell us about his adventures and what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.